on YouTube?
Well, it's live right now, so you can go to our channel.
Oh, I have subscriptions. Erik Tenkar, he's subscribed. I
Well,
subscribed to him. Not
you know, Erik, you can give him the link, can you not?
I did. I gave out the link on my blog. I'm sharing it to the G Plus social media, and now soon to be at Facebook.
Let me look, see if I can find it.
Anyway, so just right-click through the source and connect. All right, so I'm kind of get the chat on here. If I get that to work, I'll do YouTube live video. Want to play?
Here we go.
Oh, all right, you got it.
All right. No, I just have the link.
Oh,
it took that long for me to get the link.
No worries.
I'm telling you, I'm technologically challenged, folks.
I know you are. Anyway, so as we're setting up, what we're here for is actually, well, first of all, let's go through. I'm Zach from Frog God Games. I work with a lot of the business development part. I do a little bit of writing and a whole lot of other stuff, like this. And I'm with Erik Tenkar, who I don't think needs an introduction. Whether you love him or hate him, he's a blogger and a podcaster and an all-round law enforcement and aficionado.
Okay.
And then Mike Battalato from the North Texas RPG Con. He goes by BadMike and other worse things. And go ahead and introduce yourselves real quick, gentlemen.
Oh, well, you just introduced me pretty well.
You can be honest now, as opposed to my lying.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, domain proprietor at Tenkar's Tavern, an OSR blog. I have a Discord channel for the tavern, which has about 106 active members. In less than a week, I'm blown away. I took Matt Finch's Swords and Wizardry and broke it down to 4 pages. So if you found Swords and Wizardry laid out in the wild, I'm guilty of that. Zach's guilty of the layout, and BadMike is guilty of everything following that.
That's all true. All true. All right, Mike, about yourself?
I am known primarily for nothing, but actually I put on a convention. This will be our 10th anniversary coming up next year, North Texas RPG Con, which focuses on old school pre-2000 RPGs. And through that convention that Doug and I started, I've met these fools here. And so I'm a hanger-on to Frog God Games. I do various volunteer work with them. Well, I mean, it's not volunteer work, but it ends up being volunteer work. So,
well, the whole RPG industry is like that.
Exactly. And I know Erik. I enticed him to come to our con, and his wife loved it. So I sucked up to his wife and got him to come back.
And that was the smartest thing you've ever done.
Well, we'll do the quick story on that one. Rach was like, "Oh yeah, I'll go to the convention with you. That sounds like fun. There's so much shopping I can do in Dallas. I'll have a great time." And they got a pool. I can go in the pool. And she had all these plans, but I still signed her up for some games. First game was Time Master because I figured nobody would know the rules because it was old and out of print for the longest time.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was redone by Goblinoid, right? Or re-released.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So Tim Schneider was her first GM, and she was doing like wrestling moves, and she embraced it within the first 10 minutes, and then by Friday, she was telling me, "We're coming back next year. We can't miss this. We're coming back next year. Tell BadMike we're coming back."
And so at this point, Doug and I noticed this. And the last day there, we bring her this backpack chocked full of gifts.
Yes.
Here you go, because we knew the way to Erik was through his wife. So.
Oh my God,
that works for everybody. But yes, you know, it's funny because my wife is going to go for the first time next year. She was supposed to come this year, but she got injured, and I think that by then she really wants to be on your friends list on Facebook, Mike.
We'll see how that works out. I have a no wives policy, so
yeah, except for the Stewarts, like everybody else. She knows. She looked at your list. She knows, dude. So anyway,
some of the wives.
Okay, so why I actually called this conclave together is that Erik was the impetus behind Swords of Wizardry Light. He did most of the slimming it down, like 95% of the slimming down of the rules. Erik provided me with the Word file, and I did the folio that you all are probably familiar with if you're watching this. If not, go and check it out. There's available download at Frog God Games website, at Tenkar's blog, and now at Drive-Thru RPG.
Plug.
Yeah, right, well, thank you. And so we did that, and to try to encourage younger people, like kids, people who hadn't played a role-playing game since they were 11, to give it a shot again and to kind of spread the hobby. It's available free. We hand it out at conventions. We hand it out via mail during the Swords of Wizardry Legion, which will be talked about in a minute. And we've just been adding new content. Erik is writing expansion-type rules. It's not official, but it's going to be very popular. People ask me about it all the time, like I know. And and so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about what Frog God's going to do to further improve the experience for people who enjoy the game and would like to publish for it. And so, but first, Erik, talk a little about Swords of Wizardry Light and why.
The why is I retired after 20 years in law enforcement last spring, and I got into my head that I wanted to do some kind of guerrilla marketing for the OSR, and I had the idea of slimming down an old school rule set to a handful of pages that somebody could print out and leave at a library or a game store where they put all these advertisements and stuff. And I started working on it, and silly me, I mentioned it to you. And you're like, oh, that's a damn good idea. And the next thing I know, it's like, a Frog guy, Bill is great about this, Matt's great about this. I'm like, wait, it's going to be an official flavor? I really never expected that, honestly. So
we got someone in the chat. I'm saying hello to somebody back in the chat. Like, thank you. No, yeah. And Erik told me about it, and I thought it was a really good idea. But he's like, I'm just going to get in Word. I'm going to release it on the internet. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I think that we could make this really cool. I'm like, we could do it this way, or give me about I assumed was 2 or 3 days, but it wound up being like 9 with the Hong Kong printing, and so to make a folio. And so I thought that way we could. It had the kind of a bit of flash to it, and I thought that would help, especially with newer people, in a physical copy. And so. So basically told Erik we're going to go big or go home, and so Erik, he stayed.
Oh, God, yeah. So, and it's been a hit. I mean, it's great not just for bringing people back into the hobby, or, there we go, or getting people to try an OSR game, but it's great for convention play, because I ran it at North Texas this year. I ran 2 sessions. I gave out the folio, told people take 10 minutes, read it, and then we're going to do characters, did characters, and ran a whole adventure, and it took about 3 hours. And that's damn cool. Everybody enjoyed it and had a good time. So that's where the folio stands. I also had stupid ideas of, like, let's take this. Folio covers through level 3 and the 4 core classes. And I had the idea of, let's take this to level 5. And then I spoke with Bill Webb, and Bill's like, I think level 7 is the sweet point. So I thought about it, and I reached out to James Spahn, who's a good friend of mine, and I said, what do you think? I think 7 is perfect. And then James and I spent the night brainstorming together, totally on the same page, and then literally, I don't know, the next day, or maybe it was 2 days later, he sends me a file, about 16 pages, Swords and Wizardry, Continual Light, with optional classes and spells and magic items, 7 levels. You can run a full campaign with something that's going to be about 16 pages. It's all laid out.
I have a very extremely rare pre-printing of this.
They were only 10 copies of the blue printed out. There was one. Yeah, there was one. That's what I'm calling the beta. There was one pre-beta that I gave to my live GM out Long Island, Tim, and I'm going to be kicking off first week of September. I'm kicking off Swords and Wizardry Continual Light campaign. Well, I'm going to give out the folios, but I'm going to give the optional classes out, and once we hit level 4, obviously we'll be moving on to the Continual Light rules. They are written. They need to be, basically I have the edits. I have to add the edits to a corrected file, and I got to lay it out with the help of the layout master, Zach Laser. But all that being said, if you are interested in checking it out, go to tenkarstavern.com. On the right-hand side of the screen, there is a link to the Tavern's Discord server. Join the Discord server. And if you go to the Swords and Wizardry Light channel, it's a text channel, it is pinned there. And it will be pinned there until I finish editing and getting this new version ready, because the beta is there. warts and all. It's very playable, but we want to just, once we have the new working copy, we will get that out to you.
I want to say real quick, since we're live, Jeffrey Webb was just talking about how much he enjoyed playing with the colleges. And good day, back at you there, Heath. And someone wants to talk to BadMike about business. Oh, my chat just went away.
Hey, I'd like to throw in a little bit about how I got hooked up with this project, because Zach showed me, and I think Erik probably sent me a preview of the Swords Wizardry Light, and I was immediately attracted to it because the first thing I thought of was Holmes Basic, and how that's the first game I played, and that was a perfect introduction. I went from there. That was set up for levels 1 through 3, and it was a perfect jumping on point introduction for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And I thought, well, this is perfect. Erik's made the perfect jump on point for Swords Wizardry Complete. You start off with Swords Wizardry Light, you play a few games with it, and you jump to Swords Wizardry Complete. Whereas obviously Erik's taking it another direction. He's looking at taking the Swords Wizardry Light rules further on. I looked at it more as a jumping on point. And at the same time, Zach and I have been talking about, why doesn't Frog God send anything out like freebies to why don't we have we didn't have a mailing list or a Facebook page for people just to get free stuff for conventions or running games at libraries or schools or cons. And so Zach and I brainstormed one afternoon, and we said, okay, well, let's come up with something we can mail out for free for people who are interested in Swords Wizardry Light. And so we brainstormed. We came up with the Swords Wizardry Legion, which includes a folder, a couple of copies of the Swords Wizardry Light, some character cards, and a few other sundry items. And so far, we've sent out several hundred to Legion members. If you want a free copy, just join the Swords and Wizardry Legion on Facebook. I think that's pretty much what it is, isn't it? Swords and Wizardry Legion page.
And we just finished the second Frog God one for Swords and Wizardry Legion. Besides the initial stuff like the character cards, we did the Tome of Horrors Light, which it came out pretty well. It took us forever to get from it 90% done to the end because Bill Webb kept me busy. I worked actually a lot of hours for Frog God for not a lot of money. So
in May, and it took Zach took the other percent, but Zach has been very busy in his defense. But yeah, that was something I love the game, and I love the whole concept. I love the simplest nature of it. So I made up about 30 or 40 monsters, and we published that as the same format as the rules, and we should be handing those out, physical copies out starting at Gamehole Con, correct?
Yes, well, actually, I dropped off the PDF file for a local test print before we print it en masse. And that's done. And so the reason I called the conclave was to actually kind of make an announcement about Swords of Wizardry Light. One of the things that is great about it that I didn't expect as much, I didn't expect it to be more than like, this is really cool, check it out. Sending out, Bill ordered 5,000 copies from Hong Kong, and it got printed when the same time we printed Bard's Gate. And so it was, he believed in it right away. And so doing it for a while, I was still like, oh, this is pretty good, Bill. He thought ahead. We really need those copies. And then what surprised me was how many people were making, not for sale items, but printable items that people could share that involved the game. And so I've been talking with Mike a while ago and with Erik, and then ultimately with Bill Webb. And the one thing that makes small publishing hard, well, there's a couple things, but one of the biggest ones is art. Actually, getting art that matches what you're looking for, and trying to commission your own is expensive. And I won't lie, it was a backbreaking. Lloyd Metcalf is a rich man, thanks to me. Okay, he's not rich, but no, but it's so getting art that is useful just to make small things that aren't even for sale. But we feel that people who are making things for Swords and Wizardry and Swords and Wizardry Light, we have basically we're moving to color, full color. But Necromancer Games and Frog God have literally 1,500 images in black and white, print ready. I mean, this is stuff that is it's in like 3,000 by 4,000 TIFF black or EPS. And I was going to show you some of those and talk about that and talk about the other, after we're done, Mike Ballotto has something to talk about we're going to have a compatibility, not license, but a compatibility like stamp, and he'll discuss it. But first, what do you think of that, Erik?
I've been hoping for something like this for the longest time. I am a huge purchaser of stock art from different sources because commissioning art. I've commissioned art. I've never commissioned art for a project that I've had printed. I've commissioned art for the tavern. If you look at the tavern, I have rotating headers, and they've cost me anywhere from $80 to $500 to get them done. Art is a killer, but I want good art. Stock art is the way to get good art at an affordable price. And from what you told me what Frog Guy is going to do, it's even better than I hoped.
And we'll talk about in a second about how it's going to get to you. And I mean, I'll be up front. Bill Webb said it needs to be cheap, and it's going to be cheaper than almost anything that you can find stock art wise. And a lot of it will be free. Not most of it by any means, but things that will get used a lot. We want to make sure that if you're taking the time to make stuff for our game that we're very proud of, we want to give you the tools that you need to make it something that people will pick up, because it's hard. It's a hard sell in Word to get it done, and it's not because it's not a good idea. It could be the world's greatest idea, but to get more people to see it, this is a simple thing we can do because we have so much of the art, and we can.
Art is a big part of why people pick things up and read them. I mean, God love the. I'm one who just will type something out and print it up and hand it to people. But art is what makes things stick out, and it's what makes people pay attention. And the art that is in these packets is professional, really good art. This is not semi-pro stuff. This is really good stuff.
And I'll give you guys an idea here. I'm gonna make this screen a little wider. All right. Okay, so this is the SharePoint server that we have at Frog God. This came with me when I got picked up. We're not a tech-savvy company by any stretch, but we do have. I uploaded all the art. For instance, some of you can't even see because it won't render it at thumbnail size. But this is a barge gate piece. It's 9,000 by 6,000, so it's huge. But what we're talking about is our black and white art. So we're talking about things like this. And this is the harpies and lions. Let's see if I can open that. There. Nope. Oh, sure. Great.
Yeah, go ahead and just type that right in, dude.
You can't see the password, and everybody knows they all know my actual address, so. If you need anything, please email this address. And keep me signed in would be a good idea. And there. Well, okay. That broke the thing. There we go. All right. So anyway, back to the SharePoint server. All right. So what we're looking at is this. Now that's just showing you the picture and telling you about it. But if you go to, I think if you click it one more time under here, it will open in another image, and it's huge. And it's the Harpies image, and I don't remember what it's from, but it's by Brian LeBlanc. But we own the rights, and the rights include we don't sell on commission or royalty anymore, and so we're releasing it for use for purposes, and the purpose is basically to use in fantasy gaming art for advertisements for same and maybe fantasy novels. We have an agreement that I have to get Matt Finch to take a look at and approve, and there's some pieces that won't be included. Anything by Rick Sardina is not available, and another artist, but that is what we're looking at there. So there is. I mean, literally, I'll show you. There are 1,500 pieces in the database that I've uploaded. It took me hours to upload. And so it is, how do I get back? Tight.
Yeah, this is just incredible because there's so many times in the past I've wanted to publish something and thought, okay, well, I've got to call Lloyd and get him to do a piece of art. And who else can I rope into, draw me a picture here? I go to my old standard Jason Braun, and well, this eliminates the need to have to bother them with anything.
Right.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. And I'm going to pull the art back up in a second here. But it's not the majority of it. 700 of the pieces are all from the Tome of Horrors, and they're black and white, and some of them are outstanding.
Yeah, there's some.
So it will not all come out at once. So it's not going to be next week you can just access the database and use the Tome of Horrors art, but it's going to come out in sensible packs that make sense. Like we're going to do, first one's going to be on released through us and through drive-through. It'll be a pack of undead art, and the undead pieces are like a skeleton, a zombie, there's a cool one with a like a white. And these are pieces that are going to be redone in color for the Tome of Horrors 5e or for the releases afterwards of the new Monstrosities book. And so we're not giving you something like, we're not vaulting it, basically. And so we wanted to share it so everybody else can use it. Someone says someone prefers black and white, it's only good news. When you see how many there are, it'll be great news. Let me find out to get it back open again here. Right here. It's there, and I don't even know if I can.
This is some of the same stuff that you used on the Tome of Horrors Light, correct?
Exactly. It's exactly the same art I used for that stuff. Here we go.
Yeah, and there's some really good pieces in the Tome of Horror Light, too. And they're from this source.
So anyway, so as you can see now, here is again this is the database until you see there's 50 pieces right here. But then I go, and I can click forever. I mean, so we have tons and tons of pieces of art that was going to eventually become available. And like I said, we're not sure how. Free will definitely be some of the options. And some of the options will be unusual. There are a few that probably won't release, mostly because they will be, they're probably not super appropriate. Some of the Necromancer game stuff, that dirty old people who own that, is probably nothing we want to see for Swords of Wizardry Light available. But it still is there's so much. And so anyway, you'll see as we go through some of the newer arts in there. But as we go...
Ooh, bugs and beetles.
Yeah.
I need a bug and a beetle. I need a bug or beetle.
Yep.
Nice.
I got used to using the keyboard here. So now, and this from here is 100, and then here, and it shows you the next 50. And so,
I just thought of 5 new adventures looking at this art here.
Well, and there's so much. Like, look, there's just tons of it, and like, you see a bigger version of it here, and so you see that,
pretty damn cool.
And you see a pop out, and then it comes down. It tells you more about it. We have a little more information about each in the database that's sort of updated, and so anyway, so that's what I'm here to talk about. And so, Erik.
Yes.
I'm asking you because I'm curious. How often do you think like small packs that are like really inexpensive worth it? Because we're going to find the other channels to do this with. But what do you think is a good price for 5 quality pieces of art? How much you pay? How much would you pay?
Well, if you, it depends. I've done subscriptions for, well, $200, but on sale for $95, maybe for if you time it right, where you're subscribing for 50 pieces of art or 60 pieces of art, but that's over the course of the year. A good single piece of art could be as much as $4 or $5, sometimes more.
It will never
black
be that
and
much.
white. Well, I mean,
I'm just telling you, Bill will never let me charge that much. So because he really does want this to be, he doesn't want it to be all free, but he doesn't really want it to be. It's not a. I mean, I hate to say it because everything's a profit thing to a company, but it's not for huge revenue. It's just for, we want people who pay a little bit of it to have a stake in it, and that's about all. But we really wanted to see it get used because we're not going to use it again. You could actually buy a piece of art from us and it'll wind up somewhere. Now, I'm not expecting that to be the case, but you never know. You just don't ever know. So, unlock this. All right, there we go. And so, BadMike, what do you think about all this? We talked about this before. When did this first come up?
When did the art come up?
Yeah, when we talked about this stuff originally.
I don't remember. Probably driving to Game Hole or to Gary Con, or we were driving back from Gary Con. Who knows? But no, I think what's great about this is that, well, like I said, when I wanted to self-publish stuff, I look at, and I'm talking about a friend's rate with people. These artists, I mean, you got to pay for their time. You can't monopolize their time. You're talking at least 10 pieces of art, $10 piece of art, maybe more. Probably more because it's not a friend's rate. This is great because this will mean that you will be able to illustrate your adventure like it's going to look like a professional adventure. It's not going to look like something that you just threw together, even if it is something you just threw together.
Yeah,
Right.
like even this piece is almost 2200 by 1700, and it's in a TIFF, and so it will on a black and white print on a page. It's ready to go. You might want to use a multiply on some of the pieces, and when you put it down in layout, but in general, these are ready to print. And if you need to adjust them, part of the license allows you that, so long as there's no moral turpitude. You don't use it.
That's great.
No political causes, and no pornography. And that
no dinosaur porn, people.
Exactly.
No beetle porn.
You can't draw like a little.
No.
Okay, never mind.
So
dinosaurs,
anyway,
dinosaurs have sex. Come on, guys.
Okay, that's enough. Out of both you guys. So anyway,
so use suppositories too. So.
Now, and this
silver ones, yes.
If this is successful and people like to use it, there's other things that we have available. We have maps. We have tons of stuff. We have a lot of resources, and we find that our best customers also would like to publish things and have it be seen. And the things that you publish get shared. And Bill found me via self-publishing, and it's just a chance to get your stuff spread out there. This does help, and we want to help in some other ways too. So one of those ways is with it's not an official like stamp, but it's compatible with basically it's a logo icon that you can put on your products you make, providing one man gives it the thumbs up, and that man is Mike Ballato. Mike, talk about it.
I am the gatekeeper.
That's right.
Well, here's the deal. Zach and I don't know what it is about us, but we find ourselves talking about the most fatalistic things at times. And one of the first things I brought up is, well, when people publish stuff for Wizardry Light, we don't have any kind of guidelines. I mean, how do we know? This is, let's face it, this is a system that's used at conventions. It's for beginners, for children. I don't necessarily want a Swords Wizardry Light Lamentations of the Flame Princess adventure. I mean, you could do that, but I would be leery of it because a lot of people that play this game are playing with their kids, and I don't want them to pick that up and find a James Raggy monster on the cover. And so one of the first things we thought of is, well, in case this happens, do we have some kind of mechanism to prevent it? We really didn't. We didn't have any kind of regulation on it except what the people who were creating did to themselves. And so just as a look towards the future, Zach and I have decided that we do need to have somebody kind of look over the adventures, not merely because of ethical or moral questions, but a lot of it's because of rules. We had two publishers, large publishers who remain nameless, who converted adventures to Swords Wizardry Light. And when I looked it over, I found that in both cases they had used Erik, what's the one rule of Swords Wizardry Light when it comes to dice?
There's only two dice used, the D6 and a D20. And I'll tell you right now why that is. It's because D6s are easy to find. D20 is less easy to find, but you can still find it. But if you only have two dice, somebody like my wife, who is not a regular gamer, can differentiate between a D6 and a D20. That's
one of the only hard and fast rules. Well, guess what? We've had stuff submitted that use D4s, D8s, and others. So that's one of the basic rules of Swords Wizardry Light is you only use those two dice. And so we saw this and caught it and said, hey, you need to change this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a submission, which is you'll submit the adventure, and all I'll be doing is looking it over, making sure the rules are correct. Making sure that if anything is mentioned in your adventure, it's something that's either explained in the rules packet or you explain it in the adventure. We're not against people using new monsters, new magic items, new spells, new classes, but it has to be explained in the adventure because we want the adventure to be playable by anybody that picks up the rules packet. And that's all they have. They just have this one sheet, and with this, they're able to run an adventure. So your adventure needs to be able to be run with that. If there's any concepts in there that aren't in the rules packet, they need to be explained in the adventure. Other than that, it's pretty much open-ended, right, Zach? I mean, there's really nothing else we ask.
No, and we're not. He's not editing. I mean, one of the things is continual light. Right now, Not exactly, but I think we can work on something with Erik to get something like that on there. We're going to start with the official Frog God stuff because that's what I have control over. Erik here is the man. He was actually, he started it all, and he's allowed to do whatever he wishes with the continual light, etc. And it still is considered to be a affiliation with us. And it's the, if you're going to stay with Swords and Wizardry Light past level 3, Erik is the gatekeeper. He's the man. So yes, probably, but not right away.
Sounds like a plan. And just to throw this out there, I mean, continual light is done because I had a lot of people when they saw the initial light rules say they like the light rules, they like the simplicity, and they'd like to be able to keep doing that past level 3. But at the same time, it's meant to be introduction to Swords and Wizardry in general. There are other flavors of Swords and Wizardry. It's White Box, which is what I use to ship down, Core, and Complete. And Complete is really what cemented me into the OSR. It was my my holy Bible. So you can definitely the game plan really is, and hopefully I'll do this before Game Halt. Get a sheet out that'll explain how to convert from Swords and Wizardry Light to Complete without much of a hiccup. If you want to go from one to the other, you should have it.
And I saw it. Oh, I saw it.
We're not saying that you can't. You can publish anything you want for Swords and Wizardry Light. If James Raggy's your jam and you want to have a monster with all kinds of crazy stuff going on, you can do that. You won't be able to put what we call the official.
Well, it's not.
Swords and Wizardry Light.
You make it clear from the legal department says none of it's official. What it is
correct.
It's been declared compatible with, and it's basically a way you can see on the it's a document or a PDF, or if you have a book that you print, you can see on there that it's the same logo basically as the Frog God one, and it's tweaked a little bit. It's probably not going to have this the long horizontal style. It'll probably just have the Wizard logo and a little bit of writing. But I'll have that done probably tomorrow. But so it's not official, but it's also not it's a way that people know that it is compatible, and we'll see where it goes from there. But Mike is reading these to basically just to make sure that other people can pick them up and read them. So it's actually a way to get more audience out, and there's potential in the future for Swords and Wizardry Complete ones. Frog God may actually take a look at some of the ones that are done, and we may actually highlight some of those and give you guys some kind of terms for sale. We don't know that for sure yet, but Bill was pretty excited about it. So whatever he's excited about generally happens. So we'll see. We have to pass that through a couple of different channels first, but that's what we're sort of thinking about.
I'll give you a few hints. The main problems I see, which aren't really that big a problem, they're just tiny problems, are as I said earlier, dice use. Make sure you're only using die 6 and die 20. Make sure your armor classes are correct, and if you have a hit dice, if you have a monster that has 2 hit die, for whatever you do, don't give them 27 hit points, which I actually found in something that I proofread. Just make sure that all your numbers add up, and like I said, make sure that somebody that picks up the Swords and Wizardry packet will be able to play your adventure without too much trouble. If you can do that, and all the numbers match up and all the stats match up, then you're good to go. There's no problems.
So, speaking of that, when Mike takes a look at them, we like them to be submitted when they're pretty close to what you got done. But you'll take them in any form. It doesn't have to be PDF. If they want to give you something that was printed to PDF from Word and stuff, that's fine. But like I said, he's not a editor, except for like a quick look for the rules, and he's certainly not a critic. He's a terrible critic. I don't like anything he likes. So
except for Swords and Wizardry Light.
No, that's true. That's fair. Okay, just that.
Right.
And what I like isn't whatever it's not about what I like or not. It's just about whether or not it follows the rules. So you don't have to worry about my critical opinion at all. I mean, if you want to ask my critical opinion, you're welcome to do so. But I can be pretty mean. So you may not want to do that. But yeah, I'm just looking at make sure it goes by the rules. That's it.
So going back to the original, we're at 350 right now. Most of those are black and whites, and we're on E. And so
jeez,
this is still like only a third of what's available. So you see some of the Bard's Gate art there, and so you'll see some color ones. Some of the color ones that came with me when I got hired from lesser known stuff, but almost all of them are stuff from the Tome of Horrors. There are quite a few from like Quest of Doom books. Basically, what happens is, maybe I'll show you. I'll show you an example in a sec. But what happens is Chuck Wright, who does all of our layout and does it very efficiently and very fast, and it looks really nice. Which is those are the three things you usually can't have at the same time. But he makes something called a package file from InDesign, and that package file has a directory that is nothing but the print elements there, because InDesign doesn't store them in a unified document. So I just grab those files and I just zip them up to the website. And what I'll be doing is picking the files off the website and then putting them in a zip folder with a little bit of probably with some thumbnails and with the instructions. And so that will be pretty cool. What else you got there, Eric?
What else do I have?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm going to throw a question out to you. Will they be able to use these on their blogs if they have blogs?
I see absolutely no reason. Oh, I don't see any reason why not. I don't.
Okay.
That wasn't clarified, but I think that, as I recall, when I talked about that with, I don't remember anymore. It was not a problem, because as long as it's not logo identity, if you don't make it the part of your blog logo or your blog head page, but if you want to use the pieces you purchased as stock art in any of the stream stuff, I don't see any problem with that at all. And we could probably give you permission if you want to put it in the banner. All we have to really do is ask. So,
we have a question here. Even though the original artist got paid, if the artist reused elsewhere, shouldn't the artist get more remuneration? These are paid?
These are
jobs,
paid
right?
When they're paid for us for a commission. What happens is we purchase them in the rights in perpetuity, and there's not an exemption for anything like stock art. And because we have a couple who won't do that, and that was the agreement we made, and so they won't be available. If you want to kick a couple bucks to the artist because you're using them, I totally think you should. And why we're keeping it so cheap is we're not trying to get rich on the backs of these artists either. We're trying to make them available. So one, it promotes Frog God's stuff, so it's still for use under us, and one, so that it can get seen. But we totally encourage you, if you like a piece and you know the artist, and I know the artist, I totally encourage you to do it. But it will be right away one artist we know approves. So
the Dyson Logos does a similar with his maps. He gives his maps away free. I would encourage, if you use a Dyson logo map, to subscribe to help Dyson out. Same with this. If you find some art you like, and throw some work the artist's way, or buy him a beer at a convention, do something for him.
The artist names also will be in the packet, the ones that are first available, along with the correct language for the OGL, and so that way when it's published and is put up, the artist we're going to ask from Dr. Sester, it will be identified. Yes, if we have an identity for the artist, it will be identified. And so they're easy to find if you'd like to, or they can be searched on everything we put up will be searched under in the RPG Now database, and ours as well. But one of the fields is for Illustrator. So when the ones we've got, I'm the one who uploads them, so I'll be putting them in there. The ones I could tell. There are some pieces from Necromancer that they acquired in like 2003. Nobody has any idea. We know we own it, but we have no idea who drew it. We can guess, but we don't want to guess either. So I hope that answers your question, Dr. Stare.
Was that who that is? Is that Bunny?
Yes,
Bunny
it is.
Burroughs?
Yes, it is. And it's an astute question, and we had discussed it, but part of it is actually really it's to spread what assets we have that will be basically locked away or never used again to people who can use them. And so, in order to make it useful, we couldn't say you can use it, but you can't charge for it, for what you finish. You can't resell it as stock art, but you can certainly charge for commercial use on these, knowing that once you get it commercially, you don't have exclusive rights. Anything we have is available to anybody who wants to go through the process. We have to pay which piece it is.
Dr. Dennis Sester, that name rings a bell.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
What do I know him from? He's done something. He did a game once.
He did Aftermath. Oh, yeah.
No, Swordbearer. That's how I initially knew Dennis, was Swordbearer. I did not find his other works until later.
Well, you can just find some more of his other works later. There's more coming, so. And that's why I recognize the name in the chat, because that's what comes up in my email, too. Oh, we lose Mike? Well, good. Now we can start talking.
About Mike. Oh, yep, there's the official bink. Bye, Mike.
Juan said something in there that about the contracts being they only let it to use it for product related, and we do have a few of those. And the ones we're not sure of, we are going to get a hold of. But in general, Bill Webb, when he buys art, the art agreement they've been using at Frog God at least since 2009 is we own the rights to the art, and I think that it says that it's reusable by us unless there's a clause. And one of the only clauses I'm aware of directly is with Rick Sardena. But I know that there will be others as we look it up. But most of this art was done on that kind of spec. Like, I own Lloyd Metcalf's art that he made for Death and Taxes and Whisper and Venom. And he had already asked me whether or not I was going to do this years ago with the stock art stuff because he thought it was a good idea. So.
Oh. That's good to know.
Yeah, there's a question about he's still not back. Hey.
Well, apparently I'm playing the role of Mike Battleato.
Yeah, well, right there, here you are.
Oh, all right. No longer playing the role of Mike Battleato.
Let me see if I can add him back in the call here, so hold on. All right, now I'll move him back.
It's that great Texas internet.
No, it must be. He's not even in Houston.
Yeah. I'm sorry. One reason I will never leave New York City is FiOS.
All right. So, all right. Well, apparently he doesn't like BadMike, but we don't need him anyway. Other than that, a couple other things that this is mostly with Swords of Wizardry Appeal, but we are, speaking of VTT stuff, I been working on some tokens to get to learn. Maine does generate great art, and Lloyd is actually one of my favorite people in the whole world, and he did me a solid favor by being as good as he was on Whisper and Venom. So, anyway, but yeah, I see Lloyd's name in there. He is going to art school, and he already is great. He's going to be beyond awesome.
Oh yeah.
But because Dr. Sester mentioned Lloyd in there, I could give Lloyd a plug. He's awesome, but he's not taking any commissions because he's busy.
Mike Battleato just said, "I'm back."
Yeah, we'll find out. Here, hold on. And him. Anyway, so I've been making VTT tokens for Starfinder, and also we were working on the new Rappanathic maps for VTT, just in general. So we are becoming a lot more open and friendlier to making sure we supply that stuff to Fantasy Grounds and to the other VTT companies, so it's in a way that it can be made. So Rappanathic is a giant module, and to make it into a useful thing on Fantasy Grounds takes so much time that we want to, if they want to have it up on there, if they're going to do the conversion, we're going to give them all the tools we can to make sure it works well. So, you know what? No one likes him anyway.
Just so you guys know, I'm back. We can't get Mike. If you're listening to this, you might be back, but you're not back.
But anyway, is there any other questions from the live chat? I'll be happy to answer them. But otherwise, I think we're gonna. No, you're not back. Uh-oh. You moved again. Okay.
Yeah, I think it automatically moved.
Yeah.
For a few
Well, it has to do with Skype and the fact that when you draw the camera on XSplit is how we do the broadcast, and you draw on the screen. And when I draw a screen grab, when he hangs up on Skype, it changes the window layout. I know that's a boring explanation, but that's exactly what it is. You didn't get kicked. All right, hold on. See, I'm adding him in. You could see it there on the screen, I think.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Third time with the charm.
Yeah, we'll see.
Something tells me it won't be the charm.
Screw you, Zach. All right. That's exactly what I wanted to see in chat. Now I feel like I'm actually at a Frog God event. All right. Anyway, so that was what we were going to talk about the most, and this will be soon. I'll have the files together ready, but I need to get Matt Finch is kind of busy right now underwater in Houston, so the things I need for that, and I'm going to bring up to Bill maybe getting a getting some of the contact information for some of the artists, because the point about them knowing, even though we have the rights, is something that I think that I'm going to follow up on right away. And I don't. Most of them haven't objected in episode 4, but I think it's worth checking, and so it's a worthwhile thing. And he's not coming, so apparently he's done. Okay. Anyway, Erik, you have anything else you want to add?
No, not really. I think this was the Swords and Wizard Leg stuff was good to hear. Some of it was actually the details of which were new to me, and I like them. And the stock art is going to be awesome. Just so folks, just to let you all know, when this goes live, Zach will let me know. You know, the tavern will have it up. We'll share it out. You'll definitely know what's going on when it goes live.
Yep, you most certainly will. And so the other thing I think I want to add is that I might be posting a video. I don't think I'll be live, but I'm recording it tonight of some stuff with the production stuff. I've had some people ask, when I was talking to Mike last time in front of the InDesign was on the screen because we were working on this Tome of Horrors Light, and I asked some questions about actually using InDesign. And so while I'm making some stuff, I was going to go ahead and make a video of me doing a few things that would be useful for anybody who may be thinking about publishing and thinking about using the tools that we use. I'm not an expert, but I'm not bad. Chuck Wright is much faster than me. I know all this stuff, but I'm slow and deliberative, so it makes me the perfect speed to watch. So anyway, so I might be up again. If it fires up live, you'll know why. And otherwise, I'll post a video in a few days. So, all right, Erik, thank you very much.
Thank you, Zach. Hi, Mike. Bye, Mike.
And thank you, everybody.